It's really hot in the shop, even with AC. It's supposed to be 110 tomorrow. Whew. Can't wait for Sykeston, Missouri. Cooler weather, good friends hanging out, talking cars. It'll be a great time. Welcome back to Buff's Garage. We're going to catch you up on what's going on this 1963 Pontiac Grand Prix. If you've seen my previous videos, you know we pulled this Grand Prix out of the woods where it sat for 30 years. Now through discovery, we found that this vehicle has 45,000 original miles. It's crazy, I know, especially seeing it in the condition it's in. But would you believe that this vehicle sat for most of its life under a tree, filled with rodents, which is why it's in the shape that it's in. Nearly every bolt, nut, and screw has removed by hand, so that's a good thing. Even with the rust that we have, the car still wants to play. So we've gone through everything. We know that we don't have an engine transmission. That was part of the deal when we got it. It just wasn't there. We believe it had an original 389 with automatic transmission and air conditioning. You could live in the fro zone while you're cruising in your big old Grand Prix. Now we discovered that the trunk floor and the gas tank were gone, and that just from sitting for so long, water infiltrated and rusted it out. We went to pull the rear end and check it, and sure enough, it's locked up solid. It's nothing a good sledgehammer whack couldn't fix, but time is of the essence. So for No Name Nationals, we're switching that rear end to one that we have ready to go, ready to pop in. So today, we're going to finish these floors up. We're going to get them all sanded down and put a fresh coat of rust preventative on the top of it. That should slow things down. We still have to go in and patch a few holes, so we'll leave those spots uncoated so that we can do our welding in there. And then this interior is about ready to put back together. We're finishing up under the hood, so let's switch to that and you can see what's going on there, and then we'll switch back to see how the inside's going. My beautiful wife over here boxing up shirts and prepping all of this stuff for when we go on trips to sell our t-shirts and hats, stickers, keychains, whatever you need. They're all available at buffsgarage.com. Thank you, honey. Love you. So I didn't video removing this panel, which is right here, mainly because the compressor is so loud with the AC and everything else. I just don't think it would have been that great of content. So what we're doing now is I'm going to clean all of this up and get all of that just free of rodent excrement. And then we're going to pull this condenser out, because at least for the no-name nationals, I don't need this. It's just in the way. No idea if it's any good, but I'm not going to throw it away. I'm going to hang on to it. But we need to make room in here just so that we can easier slide that engine transmission down. So basically what I'm doing is just cleaning up the engine bay. I pulled off some things that the hood hinges were froze up. This one kind of worked, but it started trying to buckle the hood, so I deleted that one as well. If I can't get them refurbed and ready before the event, we'll just throw hood pins in it. I'm going to clean off a lot of this, and the reason why is this is all old, antiquated, not going to be useful for what we're doing. This is the AC system. Old coil pack, won't need that. All of this, I'm going to obviously document it. That's what we're doing now. So I know where everything goes. I'm going to keep everything. But like this brake booster, all that, that's going away because we've got all brand new stuff in boxes. We're going to try to keep the power steering, but not use this pump. We're going to try to use the one that's with the engine now. And if it doesn't work, we'll just loop those and have manual steering. So that's where we're at. I'm going to pull this out after I clean all of this up, and then we'll see what's left. So I got the condenser out, and I'm disconnecting part of this AC stuff. And yes, it's all very old, very brittle, and I'm going to keep the stuff that looks like it could, you know, be useful. But a lot of it is just falling apart. So right now I'm working on getting this master cylinder and brake booster off. I've got all of this cleared off the firewall, and the rest of it I'll have to remove from the inside. But what's crazy to me is this really is a low mileage car. Everything came right off with just hand tools. If it weren't for 30 years of sitting and some butchery from whoever removed the engine, this thing would be in a lot better shape. But 30-year-old wiring, it's still there, but there's a lot of brittleness. The wires themselves, the insulation's cracking. I just don't want to see this thing catch on fire. So we'll see what works, but at the same time, I'm probably going to replace most of it just to be safe. Let's get back to this master cylinder. Again, it came loose by hand. Rusty is all get out, but it came loose by hand. It's really hot in the shop, even with AC. It's supposed to be 110 tomorrow. Whew. Can't wait for Sykeston, Missouri. Cooler weather, good friends hanging out, talking cars. It'll be a great time. Might come loose. I need a pry bar. Aha! I don't know about you, but I don't know if your master cylinder is supposed to be full of that. Seen better days. But these little buggers are actually kind of cool, because if you think about a lot of the race vehicles that ran this single reservoir master cylinder, there's quite a few. Now maybe not Pontiacs, but right here, use Delco brake fluid. Really cool piece of history. And once again, like everything else, despite the naysayers thinking I'm just sledgehammering everything, I will keep this because I'm sure it can be rebuilt, remanufactured. What do you call that? No, rebuilt. Somebody will need this. It just won't be me. All right, brake booster. I think it comes off from the inside. Let's see. I don't want to take the pedal off because I have a plan for that. That's off, that's off. So we can't get to our air conditioning components over here, even though it's brittle and cracked. We have to take the whole fender off, and I just haven't decided if I want to do that or not. I really like how everything's fitting on this car. I just don't know that I'm going to pull the fenders. There's a vacuum canister over here. I'm going to grab that. We've got the brake lines to tear off, and we're going to work on this power steering pump. Figure out what it's going to take to remove it. All right, let's get to work on that. Way too big. Another historical part. It's got some vacuum hose missing there, but it's not completely rusted through. Once again, a little bit of refurb, this thing be ready to go. I will have the Pontiac parts when people need them. Just like all of my subscribers that have been helping me out. I really appreciate that, especially there are ones that are literally sending me parts for free. I don't know how to react to that. I mean, I would do the same, but I love this car community we're in. It's pretty awesome. where we're at. We've got the trunk floor cut out, just waiting on the floor to show up. It's on that back order thing. We're told 30 days out, so let's hope and pray it shows up. Otherwise, when we do the burnout, it's going to be smoking up the inside of the trunk. We started the tear down on the engine compartment, getting it all cleaned up, getting ready for our new brake setup to go in. Also, we're going to patch up any wiring that needs to be addressed that will be necessary to make the car actually operate, because we do have the ignition key, we do have a trunk key. We will be able to get this thing fired up again. Once that engine compartment is cleaned up and prepped and ready, we're going to drop that engine in there, get the transmission hooked up, and then all we've got left is the rear end and drive shaft. We got something special coming for the suspension that I think you're going to like. Some of you may not. Particularly, it's my cup of tea. It's something I enjoy, but it's all custom fab work. So we're going to take the example from our seized rear end. We're going to transfer that suspension onto another rear end I have laying around. So once we get that underhood cleaned up, we'll be prepped and ready for the next step. We'll get our floors prepped and ready so that we can start putting stuff back in, such as insulation, start looking at wiring, all the other things that we need to do to get this car going down the road. When the floor pan shows up, we're going to get that back in the trunk, zip all that in, and then all we got to do is turn the key and make our engine run. There's a lot of people say, oh, you're way behind. Let's be clear, I was way behind before I started. Literally paid my fee to get into No Name Nationals, and I didn't even have a car. But here we've got one, straight out of the woods, into the garage. This thing will be running and driving at No Name Nationals. Okay, so now that we've got all of this sanded out, I'm going to just use a little bit of Dawn dish soap and water and a sponge. I don't know if it's the right way to do it, but I'm going to use the water and sponge to kind of pick up all the dust and the little bits that are left over. Give me as clean a surface as possible. But then we're just going to get to rust proofing and move on. We don't have a lot of time to spend making this perfect. Obviously, I'm never going to fully restore the car, but I do want it to stop rusting as much as possible. So we're going to skip all the patch holes for now, just kind of work around them, because I'm coming back. I've got a lot of sheet metal that we're going to mold and form in there, but I just want to get the rust proofing down on the floor so I have a cleaner surface to work on, because I've got to put an engine in. So I'm going to clean this up. I don't really think it needs to be videoed, just wiping it down and then I'll come back and we'll start rust proofing. All right, before we go any further, let's talk about safety. Now, we got our floors all cleaned and dried, and there might be a little bit here and there that we pick up, but for the most part, it is clean and dry, ready for our new rust proofing. Now, this is a Napa rust proofing product, but it's similar to most any other rust proofing product you can get. Mine was local, and I like to support my local auto parts store, so that's where we're at. Now, pause for safety. Yes, I understand. You can take it outside and you can just vent it to atmosphere and you're getting plenty of air, what have you. I understand it. So I can tell you, just by opening the can, that I can smell how strong this stuff is. So if I'm going to be inside the car, close proximity, there is air moving, but it's going in my body. And I don't know if you saw it earlier, but I was sanding the car out with a COVID mask on. And yes, it was trying to serve as a little bit of a dust mask, but afterwards I went inside and cleaned up, and I could blow my nose and rust was coming out of my nose. So it didn't even block the rust, which comes to my next point. Use the proper PPE for the job. We're using this fairly strong chemical to rust proof the floor of the car, and so I got a fairly effective respirator. Now, you can go online and learn all about the types of respirators, what respirator you need, what level, and honestly, the best thing to do is if you decide you're going to wear a respirator and you're going to be doing it for a decent amount of time, like we have a fairly long job we're going to do right now, talk to your doctor and make sure you're healthy enough to even wear a respirator. Then go online and figure out which kind of respirator you want, and then go get fit tested with that style of respirator. That makes sure you get a good proper seal all the way around and that you're not exposing yourself to chemical. All right, I'm not going to teach you how to don and doff a respirator because there's plenty of information online about it. But I'm going to put my respirator on, so if you can't hear me, I apologize. Now when I do it, I make sure that these are snug. It's got a good fit. You should feel no air around. You should be breathing through here. All right, here we go. So that's all we got for you today at Buff's Garage. Thanks for watching. We appreciate all our subscribers and those that have gone to get merch at buffsgarage.com. Get yourself a Tappy Tap t-shirt on sale now, or you can get the Buff's Garage logo or a Buff's Garage hat. We've got keychains, stickers, all kinds of things. Go check them out. We do fast shipping, and shipping's free over $50. So thank you all for tuning in, and we will catch you up, hopefully by next week, on how far we've gone.